Welcome to the Two Marketing Moms podcast.
Two women with 50 years plus of marketing
Integrity
experience.
and culture are extremely
You
important.
can still say, I don't know.
Stop multitasking and be present in the
Moms
moment.
have balls, big time.
Welcome to the Two Marketing Moms podcast. We are two women with more than 50 years of marketing and advertising experience between us, and we want to talk about the struggles, the fails, and the wins that we experienced while building our careers, being a boss, juggling work and a home life, and arguably the hardest and yet most fulfilling job, being a mom. This podcast was created for marketing and advertising professionals, especially the up-and-coming marketing stars of the future. We hope these tips, tricks, and advice will help you navigate work and life and get ahead. Today, we have our special guest, Andrew Lawless. He's actually our first male guest for the Two Marketing Moms. So he's very special. He coaches small business owners to increase profits and income without the grind. He is certified in high performance coaching through Brendon Burchard's Institute and a finalist for the Colby Professional Award, which recognizes him as one of the world's leading experts in human instincts coaching. He has served as a consultant to the FBI's legendary Behavioral Science Unit, Silence of the Lambs, or Mindhunters, anyone? And discussed his work with the White House and testified before the U.S. Senate on the importance of professional development to the U.S. economic security. So welcome, Andrew.
Thank you so much for having me. I've watched your podcast. I watch it right on YouTube so much. You do such terrific work. So I'm really honored and heartwarmed to be here, especially as the first guy,
Yes.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I wanted to share that Andrew has been my high performance coach since the fall, and I have had a wonderful learning experience with him. He has such high energy, and I'd like to share the binder of materials that he has. That I have received from him. This is a gigantic binder. All of these are hard copies of things I printed out and materials that I've learned from him. I have sections for the Colby High Action Index, the DISC personality test, the Gallup and Clifton skills, you name it. I have all sorts of things in here. Today, we're going to focus on LinkedIn. But there's so many other things that you can learn from Andrew with regards to high performance tips. And I just wanted to thank you for helping me to really focus my energies this year and last year to make sure that I am working on the things that are most impactful for my business. So some of those things we're going to talk about today.
Awesome. Thank you. Like that, and you know what? When you have a client like you that lifts up the entire group and the entire community that I'm building, this is so rare. So, you meet somebody like that, you want to hug them, and not let go of, right? So you're one of those people. So,
Wonderful. A virtual hug.
thank
Hopefully
you.
we'll meet
Yes.
in person one
German
day.
bear hugs. You detected my accent.
So tell us, why do people not hire you as a business coach?
Oh, I love that question because usually I get asked, why would somebody hire you? And I start with the objection first.
We
so
know it's the feminine energy.
yeah, exactly. So the first one is you shouldn't hire me if you need therapy. Right? And I mean this with all respect, right? So we all need help sometimes, and we all ask for it too late. Yes, and the word coaching comes from the German word Kutsche, which is a horse carriage that transport people from one place to the next. Yeah, and so that's why today you fly coach class, or a bus is also called a coach. That comes from that time, right? That's what the Germans did to the English language, right? So, and then the first time that word coach appears outside of this context is in a university setting, where a coach was a person who helps a student make it through exams. So, by definition, a coach is somebody who helps somebody move forward, right? So, as a coach, I'm not doing therapy. It's not. I am not allowed to, and B, I'm not. It's not my forte. So if there's any kind of trauma that holds you back, I'm not the right coach, right? The second is if you're not interested in working hard. Yes, I believe in hard labor. Right?
Yeah, no
So,
slackers there, right?
100%. How many coaches are out there that promise you like I make the first $100,000 in 2 months? Or or weight loss, you lose all of your weight in 6 weeks, and usually it's very short-lived. So I believe in hard work and honest work and integrity. And I watched a video the other day with Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx.
Yeah.
And she said that she heard Jeff Bezos ask Warren Buffett once that, "Hey, Warren, like, why doesn't anyone take your investment advice? Because it works and it's so easy to implement." And Warren said, "You know what? Because nobody wants to become rich slow." Right. So if you want to become rich fast, I'm not your guy, right? So, and the third part would be you need to be coachable and committed. And not everybody is. So if you had met me 15 years ago, I would have not been coachable.
Right.
Yeah. So those are the criteria. Oh, and then the fourth criteria is I need to like you. Oh, I need to
Yeah, like you need to have a connection. You need to be able to connect with that person.
Yeah, like Kelly,
Yeah.
for example, the first time we met, it's like, I can clearly see myself having dinner with her, right? And enjoy the conversation without it being like a client-coach relationship. And that is the last thing you want is a client that you hate. Yeah.
Or who is a brick wall, or who has just one toe in,
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
true. You got to be all in, committed. You got to clear your schedule when it's needed to put in the hard work.
100%. And then I think that when it comes to LinkedIn, for example, because that's what we want to talk about, LinkedIn and selling, and a lot of things shift if you or change when you shift from selling to selecting.
What does that mean?
Yeah,
That
talk about
means like
that.
instead of like Kelly, when I met, it wasn't like, okay, how can I make that woman my client? It was like, let me see if she's the right person for me. Right. So, and then you select. So my entire sales process is like select. And people that support me in sales, they actually get incentivized, not on the sales, but of the number of people they reject.
Yeah.
Right. So you select, and when you select, you go totally different on those calls. I have a coach called Angela Lauria, who's the master of it. And she always taught me, Andrew, you are the price, and the price never chases. And the moment you chase, then have you been on sales calls and you clients are like,
100%.
yeah,
100%.
clients are like horses, right? So
It's
if you
the
ever
same
been
with teenage romances.
yeah, exactly. 100%.
It's all related.
Yeah. And clients are like horses. They know exactly where you are. They sense your slightest insecurity and incongruency, and they shy away from it, right? So that's why.
And same with hiring managers, I think, right? Like, yeah, absolutely. I've seen so many really bad LinkedIn profiles that are definitely not trying to be selective, definitely trying to sell, but not even selling authentically.
I think that's
flavor.
the challenge. So what do you see, Andrew, are the top mistakes that people make with their LinkedIn profile?
Where do you want me to start? Right. So,
well, you touted 3, but I think you actually have 5.
Well, I would say the first mistake is they do on LinkedIn what LinkedIn wants them to do, right? Which is LinkedIn wants you really to connect with peers, right? So your peers are not your clients. So the first thing you got to shift is optimize your profile for clients. So your clients do not care what your title is, right? If you're the CEO of your company and you're a coach, or I'm the president of my company, they don't care. So
Totally.
They care, how can I help, right? Is that the right person? Do I like him? And how can he help? So so number one is with their profile is to create or design their profile or develop their profile. What's the right word? It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? So that it just does two things. It attracts the people that you want, and it repels the people that you don't want.
Good advice.
So number two, nobody who is not a potential client should be in your network.
Ooh.
That's hard for us because we're, in sales and there's reps that always want to be in our network. So how do you handle that?
Explain.
Like a salesperson, wants to partner with us on XYZ. They'll never be a client, but they might be a partner.
Okay,
The majority of our calls and requests on LinkedIn are from salespeople.
that decision you need to make. Yes. So who is somebody? I call it the top 20. Like my clients that work on the top 20. So which are the clients that buy for you right away and make you bring in cash in the next 90 days? And then you have the farm club. The farm club are the people that will not. Some of them are people that will never ever buy from you, but they will refer you to others, or they're the stepping stone, right? Or the sponsor for you to introduce to the other people. But these are the people that should be exclusively in your network. Everybody else has to go. And my friends and peers, I tell them, go to Facebook. Right? So connect with me there. Mm-hmm.
That's such a good difference for people to understand. I think especially for younger people, they get on LinkedIn, they want to have, it's about quantity, right? I want to have this many connections, right? So of course I'm going to be friends with my best friend's mom on LinkedIn. But unless your best friend's mom is in your industry and is going to either lead you to a potential relationship or is your ideal client, you're saying, don't worry about those people. Those people can find you other places. I think that's a really good piece of advice.
Yeah, and everybody who's in the network, who is your friend and likes your post, or who's there, takes away from your ability to reach your audience. Yeah. I rather have 200 people that are connected with that are potential clients than 20,000 that are, of which like 19,000 will never, ever buy from me. And those 19,000 take away from my ability to get my message in front of the people that I do want. Yeah.
So what's next?
What do you was next? So what else? Okay.
Mistakes.
Top mistake.
So sharing about too much about you. Right.
Yeah.
So again, nobody cares where you worked before, what certifications you have, what what awards you gained, how great you are. They care about what can you do for them. So instead of writing in your profile, what you've done, write it in a way that what can you do for people right now.
You got to be the ultimate marketer of yourself.
Yes. Yeah. And nobody cares about you or your story. At one point they do, but not initially. Yes. Yeah.
Agreed. And there's also, there's too much competition for you to be focusing on things that really don't have anything to do with what you're trying to accomplish anyways.
Yeah. 100%.
Good advice.
And the number one advice that can be value here right now for your listeners, put a golden circle around your portrait picture, right? That picture should be recent, like within the last 5 years, okay? Second, it should be professional. And you know what really surprises me? I mean, you portray, you send your image to the world and you cannot make the effort to smile. Yeah, right. So it defies me, right? So
wait, Kelly, is your photo smiling or are you serious?
I am smiling. Yes.
Oh, good. Okay, good.
At one point, I might not have been smiling, but I'm smiling now.
Yeah, but make an effort to smile, have sparkle in your eyes, and so that. And the second one is put that's very silly. But it's mind-blowing how it works.
Why the gold? Why gold?
Because your picture stands out. How many people have a golden circle around their head?
But then if we tell everyone, maybe we shouldn't tell anyone because then it will just be us.
Well, the cat's out of the bag.
Yeah, so like what was the statistic? I don't know, I forgot. But most people don't pay attention to the picture. They don't pay
Yeah.
attention to the background image, right? So your background image
Agree.
has to have an authority picture on it, right? An authority picture is like you giving a presentation, you on stage, right? Something, or some logos where your articles got published, but something that A, tells me this person is an authority in the field where I need help. B, that person is being acknowledged by other people, and C, here's exactly how that person helps me, right? And that needs to be in the background picture, and the text needs to be repeated in the title section. So instead of saying like I'm the president of Team Lawless, and my other company is called Andrew Lawless LLC, so it would be kind of tacky anyway to say like I'm the president of, my name is Andrew Lawless, I'm the president of Andrew Lawless, but I'd rather say like I'm a business coach for small businesses and service industries, and have some keywords in there because the profile is search sensitive. There's some keywords in there that people will be looking for if they went to Google and needed my help.
Ooh, that's a good one.
And in terms of your audience, how do you figure out what your target audience is or should be? And how do you clarify that on your profile?
Okay, so is that the niching question?
Yes.
Okay. My favorite topic. I hate it. So I can tell you. So the word niching or niching. So in the US we say niching. In Britain you say both. The Aussies say niche. Why? Because at one point, Great England was occupied by French, and a lot of signs were in two languages, French and English. And so that's why we still have those word pairs in the language. When we say like the goals and objectives are, it's the same thing. Yes.
Yeah.
Or clients and customers, it's like goals and objectives, clients and customers and clients, right? So so they mean the same. And so anyway, niching is the same thing. It's either the French version niche or the English version niche, right? So just a little bit of a background. It's my pet peeve view. But so, and it was invented in like about 100 years ago by Hoover, when electricity was new, and that is electric vacuum cleaners. And that was before internet and TV, and cars were just invented, and railroad was very hard to make it through the country. So now they wanted to sell their electric vacuum cleaner to households. They quickly realized they cannot do this by going like all United States. So they pick neighborhoods, right? So niching really means that. So we have the one product, and we have specific campaigns to sell it in these neighborhoods. And how you sell a vacuum cleaner to back then housewives in Brooklyn or in San Francisco was totally different, right? So that's what niching means. And so the reason I'm telling you that, I'm not overly concerned with my ideal customer avatar, right? So because essentially everybody needs my product, but I also know that women in their mid 40s to 50s are most likely to connect with me and buy from me, get the most value out of it. And the three criteria that I have is A, is it in the right industry? Can I help? So if you are in I don't know, retail, I cannot help you. Right? If you have a car repair shop, I cannot help you. It's not my forte. So are you in the right industry? So can I help you? B, can you pay me? And C, do I like you? Right? And
that really simplifies things for me. I mean, my goodness, that makes it really easy. Yeah.
And then so then you market it accordingly, right? This is who I am, authenticity, right? This is who I am. This is the people I like to work with. This is the people I don't like to work with. and here's our help, and then the right people will come. We don't need to niche anymore the way it was necessary 20 years ago when we didn't have the infrastructure and the reach via the internet. That has changed.
Yeah, true. Really good point. Unless you're someone, let's say you're someone that's just started their career and you're looking for a job in a very specific area, then, then it makes sense, obviously.
Yeah,
Yeah, good advice. I also think that it's interesting in our industry, Kelly, like do I like them usually gets thrown out the window, right? Because, and the best example is Mad Men, right?
Yes.
There was a parade of the worst clients ever. And the reason why was because that is very typical of the ad agency. The ad agency gets beat up by clients because clients have all the power. And I think it's relatively new, at least for me, where I'm like, I don't want to take a client on that I am really not going to enjoy, because I went out on my own to really enjoy the balance of work and life, So I think that's an interesting criteria.
Yeah, and you don't want to work with a client that you hate,
No, it's the worst.
If you're like starting out in your career and you have to, that's kind of like the rite of passage. But
Yes.
There's a time and a place.
Yeah, and it drains you out. I don't know. I used to have clients, right? They paid well, but then I needed like an hour to prepare for the meeting. I was like mentally, and then I needed 2 hours to decompress after, and so it just wasn't worth it.
I want to go back to your advice about having a background image on your profile that portrays authority.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh man, I need to change mine. But also it made me think about like, if I was looking for a job, if I had 10 years of experience, I'm looking for a job, maybe I feel like I don't have an authority photo, but I think you could, right? Like you could have someone take a picture of you in a client presentation. You could have someone take a picture of you just working at your desk or reading a book or doing something that shows, your strengths or your leadership. I mean, am I going down the right path there?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
So if you, also, and women do this more than men, you have achieved so much. And men have a better, but they have a more, they're bolder in about amplifying what they've done, right? So, and women tend to downplay how great they really are and what they've really achieved, So most women that I work with, that's what I need to push them towards. Like, do you know how great you really are, and tell you to the world, but then it's always it's confused with bragging, and there's a fine line between showing your authority and bragging, right? I give you that. At the end of the day, I've learned the people that matter don't mind, and the people that mind don't matter.
So what information should be on someone's ideal profile?
Well, we talked about the picture, the background picture.
Pictures.
We talked about the title.
The
career section, for example, especially when you have your own business. How long have you been in business?
Me on my own, almost 5 years.
Okay, nobody cares what you did 6 years ago. Right? Nobody does. So instead of being like particular on what you've done in the past, just use every job, as you can do this actually very easily, and highlight how you help, what you do.
Yes. Okay. Good advice.
So yeah.
Meaning more words don't necessarily mean better.
More jobs don't mean better.
And more jobs don't mean better.
Right. And so, but same true if it's true when you look for a job, right? Nobody cares. No boss. Are you hiring? Do you guys have employees?
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you really care what you care more about? What they've done in the past or what they can do for you moving forward?
Maybe a little combo of both. How
Yeah.
does the past enable them to be successful in the future? How about that?
Yeah. Is it also true that when you look at your CV, that you have so much more talent and so many more gifts than you show in your CV, and you just leave it out because we were brainwashed by HR that it's not important and it's a distraction.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. So and so then let me ask you this: when you hire, is it always the best candidate that you hire? Is it always the person who ticks all the boxes?
Well, almost never. It's hard to find anyone who ticks all of the boxes, but
True.
you're really looking for potential, right?
It's love. At one point, it's love, right? I like that
Mhm.
person, and I think that the person does not have all the qualifications, but I think she or he can do it, and I feel good about them, right? Is that true or false?
Yes.
100%. Yes. Drive and ambition and willingness to learn definitely gets high marks. And that's not on, a profile necessarily.
That's
Yeah.
true for selecting committees, interview committees, and selection committees as well. They're just not HR forbids them to say that, So,
Yeah.
but that's what's happening, yeah. So, um, and then I guess my last advice is the about section. So again, nobody cares about all your credentials. Right. So, and you were kind enough to introduce me with all of my credentials and so on. And I think at one point when I sent you my bio, you actually came back and said, "Can you shorten that to 2 sentences?" Nobody cares because your listeners don't care, right? You know you're going to lose your listeners and your audience if you spend too much time on this, right? So same is true on your LinkedIn profile. Right? People lose interest. Okay. So what you use the about section for is give people an idea how you can engage with them. Right. For example, people that look you up, like in your LinkedIn network at any given moment in time, there are 3-4 different kind of people. Right? The first ones are the majority of people, which are they don't know you, you don't know them, you know nothing about them, and they are just in the way right now because there's no relationship whatsoever, right? So then you have the ones that are cold leads, meaning they need your services. You reached out to them and they need your services, but they're skeptical. Right? They don't know you yet. They don't know if you're genuine, how you can help. Usually, I don't know about you. You connect with people, and then how often do you get like a DM, like a message, like an hour later, said, "Hey, I'm so and so from this the company. Here's my services. Here are my prices. I think we should collaborate." Or some cheesy message that like reminds me of pickup lines. So yet people are full with marketers and salespeople that send us those DMs all the time, and it's a numbers game. It does work in some cases, but it turns me off. So cold leads. So you go in there. What you need to do, they're skeptical. So you need to give them something that makes them curious, right? Something that gives them value, an opt-in offer that is typically something like a short training, like a link to a worksheet that they can download that helps them make a first step, right? These kind of things. Easy to use. One page doesn't not take longer than 5 minutes to complete and helps them to move forward. Now you have the chance to get them from skeptical to curious. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it's
Yes,
the
it
same
works.
thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing. The psychology is the same, right? So
Yeah.
the second type of client are warm clients, right? So they know you, they're interested, they're piqued, they have interest, but they're not ready to buy yet, right? So now you need to give them something of more value, such as a webinar, a workshop, a 5-day challenge, or something that takes a little bit longer. If they're cold, they're not investing the time with you. If they're warm, they give you an hour, right? And so that needs to be in the about section as well. Right. So by the way, if If you want to move forward, you have this problem, you move forward, here's my worksheet. I also, once a month, I have an event that you can register here. And by the way, when you're ready, that's for hot leads, click this link and we can schedule a meeting. And what I see marketers do also on their websites, right? So they have like, oh, click here for a consultation.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you are not Chris Voss or Tony Robbins or or any of these very important thought leaders, nobody's going to click because it's too dangerous to meet with you, because I feel that you're going to force me into buying something, right? So, and
Yeah.
I don't know if it's worth my time. So, so you need, as in your website, when you have a website, you need 3 ways to get your visitors engaged. The cold ones, the warm ones, and the hot ones. But most websites only do once. They're just like, just here's my opt-in, and I'm already a hot lead, and I do not know what the next step is. Yes. So but the same is true with the LinkedIn profile. It was a long answer to a short question. Sorry.
One of the things that you provided us in the tools through coaching is you created something called an impact betting matrix, where you talked about we need to figure out as an organization or as a salesperson or whatever it is that you're selling, what is going to have the highest impact that's easiest to do. And you put on the matrix, okay, well, what are those things? So for us, it might be the podcast.
Yes.
Or it might be writing an article or a blog post. Things that may take more time is, a 20-page report or a white paper. And that's, may have a high impact, but that's not easy to do. It takes planning. And so I've been focusing on those things that are high impact and also easy to do. And that's really helped me think about, the things that I put out there.
Also that you use it and you do it because you rock, and it makes me so happy. Thank you.
Well, tell us, what are the main sales mistakes? We've been talking about some of them that people make when selling on LinkedIn.
My coach told me once, and I will never forget that: slow is smooth and smooth is fast.
Say that again.
Slow is smooth and smooth is fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you get there.
Yeah. That's what the second mistake is: bragging. That tell people in their profile and with the messaging how great they are. We are one of the top 10 providers of. Yes, we are the leading experts in. And sales and begins with having genuine interest in the other person, trying to understand first before seeking to be understood. And that's it. If you just take that out, right? If you stop bragging, stop cold messaging, stop bragging, having genuine interest in the person, select instead of selling. The quality of the clients that you're getting, it's a little bit of a slower process, but the quality of the clients, and you want clients like Kelly, right? Who called me and said, "Wait, we have this podcast. Do you want to come?" That's the kind of client you want.
You got major brownie points, Kelly.
Well, one of the things that you told us, Andrew, was also to do an audit of your LinkedIn, the people that you're following on LinkedIn and all of your friends on LinkedIn and connections, and literally eliminate and reduce them, because the more that you eliminate them or reduce them, the more often the people that you really want to see your posts will see them, correct?
Yeah. So we call this, when it comes to LinkedIn, like Facebook, for example, is different. We're talking about LinkedIn today, right? So we have what I call passive activities, and you have active activities, right? And the passive activities are the maintenance ones, right? So you build a relationship by following people, commenting on their posts, liking what they're doing, liking their companies, and stay engaged, but wholeheartedly, right? So there are tools out there where you can automate it. LinkedIn doesn't like it, but there's a few tools that actually work, but you cannot automate it, building a relationship. At least not generally. So that's so those are the passive activities. Passive activities are also inviting the right people into your network and deselecting or uninviting, or what you call it, deleting contacts that are not a fit. Yes. So I delete connection requests that are older than a week, because otherwise LinkedIn shuts you down. But so these are the maintenance activities, and with that, over time, you increase the quality of your audience, not the quantity, the quality. So then weekly, so then there are daily sales activities. We call it hand raiser posts. So where you share something, you have original content that is interesting to your audience, yes, of interest to your audience. And whenever they like or comment or interact with you and your content in one way or the other, you have the permission to go over and say hi.
Yeah.
Right? So you don't have the permission to sell, but you have the permission to say over and go hi. It would actually be rude, yes, to not go over and say, thank you for acknowledging my content. Thank you. I liked your comment. Yes. If I was at a bar and I met you, Julia, and let's say at a networking event, and you would say, hey, you know what, I liked your speech, right? And I would just ignore you and keep on walking. That would be rude.
Right. Totally.
Right?
I try to respond to everyone that comments and interacts with my posts on LinkedIn for sure.
How do you respond?
I mean, usually I try to have a conversation. You know, sometimes once in a while when I'm tired, I'll just be like, you know, thank you or something like that. But normally I try to say something funny or relatable or to continue the conversation.
Yeah. And a lot of people do this. This is another mistake because then you become the friend, the nice marketing expert who gave me free advice. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And you do not want to get friend zoned.
Don't want to be friend zoned. Oh my goodness.
So what if you had like a conversation structure that builds that genuine relationship, helps you at any given step to weed out the ones that are not a fit, and then schedule an appointment with the ones that are. And that's what I the structure that I give to my clients, and that's how they need to make it their own. And you know that no marketing campaign ever works at first. Right? If it does, we call it a freaking miracle, you know. So, but so it always needs adjustment and modification. But then you know exactly where you are. You know exactly how to exit a conversation and how to move on and which ones to move forward. So that's your funnel, right? So and then the weekly newsletters right now are huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I started my newsletter when I started it a few weeks ago. I had like 500 subscribers in one day, right? And then you can build an audience from there and follow up with them also. Right, so you see that you get different analytics, and then monthly. Here's the kicker: you love that. Do a monthly event.
Yeah.
Yes? And the mistake that people make. So here's what happens with events. Have you ever given a webinar? Organized an event as a webinar, like yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when you gave it, how many people signed up versus how many people showed up?
Way more signed up than actually showed up.
Yeah. So on average, 25% of registrants show up. 75 don't. Why?
Yeah. Time.
They are busy, exactly,
Yeah.
right? They have things to do, right? But because they are busy, they are your ideal clients. They're the ones that are making things happen. They're your clients. The ones that show up are often your Aunt Mary, your competitors, your peers who check you out, the people that want free advice, you know, and they're really just like a small number of people who are in this event to buy something, right? So what if there was a way that you could contact the 75% that are not showing up in advance? Said, hey, Kelly, you sign up to the webinar, right? On on how to be more productive. Do you want to meet? There's process to it, but it makes this very short, right? Mm-hmm. So what if I give you a shortcut and I give you that information in 10 minutes and you and I meet real quick?
Love it.
Right? So then you have all this. At the moment they sign up, it's a hand raiser, right? You start the conversation, and when the actual webinar begins, you're not worried about the technology, if all your slides are okay. It's just a really relaxed conversation among friends. Yes, and there's no sales pitch at the end. And I actually say in my webinar, say, you know what? If you want a sales pitch, then I need to disappoint you. You can log off now because I have none, right? And they're like, huh?
Yeah.
Because I've already done the sales before. And if only three people show up to my event, awesome. That means that I was very successful, selling before, right? So that's how you use events. So there's so many different ways that you can use LinkedIn to have genuine conversations. And the shortcut, by the way, and that's my last one, and then I'm pause here. I know I'm dominating this meeting, but successful, like poor people, some of my coaches mentioned that poor people spend time, so their work hours to make money. Rich people spend money to save time.
Yes.
Right? So, and if you go to successful people and you offer them a shortcut, say, no, you want to come to this webinar? What you really want, you want to be productive faster. What if I can make you productive faster, right? Or cheaper, or in unique ways, and you save time. So that's the approach. You want to know about it? I gave that to you already. But yeah. So there are really interesting ways of going about it.
Wonderful. Well, Andrew, if people want to follow you on social or learn more about your work, how can they get a hold of you?
You can book a 10-minute accelerator audit with me. It's a 10-minute conversation where we look at your current situation, see where you are, where you want to go, and what's in the way, and how can we move it out of your way so that you can accelerate. That's why it's called accelerator audit. And you go to meetandrewlawless.com, one word, meetandrewlawless.com, and you get access to my calendar, and you pick a date, and then after that you get some reminders, and then we meet, have a 10-minute conversation amongst friends. And in this conversation, we decide whether or not it makes sense for us to meet another time, or if a different resource would be more helpful for you.
And I highly recommend it, having been a graduate. So thank you so much for your time, Andrew. We really appreciate
Andrew.
it.
Thank you too.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you liked what you heard, please leave us a podcast review or send us a message at twomarketingmoms.com. And subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time.